Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
If I have to step away for a second to hide my gold bars, you know what's going on. So,
listen, Brad, it's not fair to assume that someone is corrupt just because they're dealing in gold bars and foreign.
Look, this is. I'm just doing my regular duties as a podcaster. Like, I don't know why you think anything's untoward. I'm just doing what what podcasters normally do. We always get paid in gold bars.
It's weird. Tiny little gold bars, but gold nonetheless. Right. All right, we're back. Look, what a week. Good Lord. Back with the fucking fury, man. Listen, Brad and I are going to prove in this episode that we are true to our word. We are not so partisan that we will justify the bullshit of Democrats. You're corrupt, and if you gotta go, you gotta go. So here we go. Current New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, who had been federally indicted in 2015, I believe,
and tried. Only escaped due to a hung jury.
Only because of a hung jury, that's right. He has been indicted again by this feckless Justice Department that only goes after after Republicans, obviously. Right. So Merrick Garland's Justice Department was like, we got a pretty good case here, we think. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run the table here and give a nice big old fat indictment to Robert Menendez. And look, it's for what I would argue. Now, I understand that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But I am of the mindset that patterns exist for a reason. And I said back in 2015, Robert Menendez was corrupt and guilty then. I stand by it. I guarantee it, like Denzel Washington would do. And turns out he's likely very much still doing the same shit. Actually, maybe getting worse over time. So
yeah, I mean, when this news dropped, there wasn't a soul who was just like, not Bob Menendez. What could possibly be Bob Menendez?
Not our Bob. Not our Bob.
Suspected of these things. Yeah.
Oh my God. Look, so for people who don't know, look, Bob Menendez is a Democrat. Bob Menendez is or was leading the Foreign Affairs, excuse me, committee. He's not a backbencher. He is very much a frontline Democrat. He's done some good things, right? But he is also notoriously corrupt. And this guy has always been on the edge of, hey man, could you just guys get rid of this guy? And apparently New Jersey Democrats are like, absolutely not. We love Bob Menendez. I don't know why. Maybe he's bringing a ton of pork back to New Jersey. I'm not up on New Jersey politics.
Yeah, that's who should really be ashamed at the end of the day is New Jersey Democratic voters for letting this guy come back in 2018 after he had been indicted and tried, and again wasn't acquitted, but there was a mistrial because of a hung jury, and prosecutors declined to refile the charges.
Right, and look, I got to tell you, like I said, when he got out of the last trial, I was like, this is bullshit and this is nonsense and he should go. And look, I'm actually glad. I am happy that this is happening.
I'm also happy this is happening. Yeah. And that's funny. I wasn't expecting us to be coming to this news being actually this is fucking great, really, for Democrats if you think about it. So
yeah, look, I saw that there's an unprecedented chance that Republicans have first time in 52 years, Republicans could, take this seat or what have you. And I'm like, listen, this is the problem. And look, I'm going to relate it to another story that is definitely going to piss people off who would otherwise probably agree with us. And they're definitely going to think I'm wrong, but hear me out because you're definitely wrong. Okay, which is he needs to go, right? And right now, and we'll talk about sort of the Democratic response, other people in Congress, but for the most part, Democrats in Congress, both in the House and the Senate, about a third of them have come out and been like, Bob Menendez needs to go, right? Fetterman was out there like early on, like, I'm returning money that he gave me like in cash and envelopes, right? Like he got his like little dig in, which I appreciate, which is very funny. I love John Fetterman. I think him and his team are brilliant. Like they're super smart.
Phil Murphy, who's the governor of New Jersey, also within hours of this story coming out, was like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah, we don't want anything to do with you, right? Hey, look, because they all know, right? They all know,
right?
And so, look, I'm going to relate it to a story that's going to piss people off. This is just like Al Franken, and I know that it is like very cool to say the women who called out Al Franken, who were in the Democratic Party, I forget the one woman's name, Kristen Gillibrand, like, she's the piece of shit. She's the piece of shit who, like, called for it, and that was a terrible idea. No, it wasn't. Look, I love Al Franken. I love Al Franken. I listened to Al Franken back when he was on Air America. I love Al Franken. I still love Al Franken. I think he was a great senator, and I'm sad. I'm still sad that he had to leave the Senate. But he should have. Because when you were talking at the time, and the context here matters. It matters and it doesn't matter, right? At the time when Al Franken was asked to resign, and they didn't run him out. He left. Okay. He's an adult man. He fucking picked himself up, hoisted himself up by his own petard, and he walked out, right? Because he knew that the calls were getting a little too loud, and what he was being accused of and what he did, right? He admitted to doing these things. No one made it up. What he did, whether you think it was a joke or not, I'm not even making that argument, was not good for the party. So the context of that entire thing, which often gets lost, is that this was a time Democrats were calling out Donald Trump for sexual assault. The story comes out.
It was also
Republicans
like smack dab in the middle of the Me Too.
Right. It was like firing on all cylinders, right?
Yeah.
And look, even then, we even said back then, like, listen, like people were like Me Tooing everything. Like a guy winked at me at the mall. Fucking Me Too. It's like, whoa, okay. One, this is actually serious. Don't just make it everything that like even like just a shitty dude does. Like that's not what this was. And I remember us having a conversation about like this can easily be weaponized against Democrats if you don't play this carefully, right? And you also need to remember that if somebody weaponizes it against a Democrat, if they are accurate and this is right, don't defend them. Right? And a prime example of that was Harvey Weinstein, right? Big, long time mega donor to Democrats. When that shit came out, people were like, no thanks. Like, no, we could get this guy the fuck out of here, right? But getting back to Al Franken, this is a time where the Me Too movement was hitting an all-time high. This is a time that Trump was being called out for his behaviors and everything else. It does not look good for Democrats to be on board with protecting a guy, in this case, who is doing the thing that you're slamming other Republicans for and then protecting him, however small it was, right? Now, I think that he was doing it under the auspices of this comedy bit or whatever. But at the same time, you're goosing butts, dude. Like that's what you did, and you did it, and like they called you out on it, and they weren't wrong, right? So the Bob Menendez thing is obviously much more serious. But people who are like, the Republicans don't get rid of their guys when they do corruption, so we shouldn't get rid of us. That's a terrible excuse. That's the same as what we talked about last week. You signed on to be with the good guys, the moral party. This is the part that sucks, is that you're going to possibly lose a senator because of this.
And if anything, something that I thought about earlier this morning when I was thinking about the Menendez thing is, and I thought about Al Franken as well, in the same context. And not that we shouldn't take, sexual harassment and assault seriously, because we absolutely should. Right. But I think the fact that more people haven't come out vociferously and have like publicly stated for Menendez to step down and resign, just shows me where we still are as a country as far as how we take seriously white collar crimes. White collar crimes are still drastically under prosecuted and not cared about as much.
100%. And also, I would make the argument that it shows where the Democratic Party is, right? Like, there is still this like deep-seated hey man, just protect your own type of shit. And you can tell the liberal Democrats are like, I don't know her. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, you got to go, right? So, look, in a way, in some ways, this sucks, right? You got to run up to 2024. The last thing you want is this major corruption case and stuff like that. But like Brad was saying, or at least I assume this is your point about it actually being a good thing, is you can show that your party holds their guys' feet to the fire if you handle this correctly.
Democrats have been handed a gift in this stuff popping up, because they really fucking have, because it's a chance to come out vociferously against corruption in government and hold people accountable, which is a direct contrast to something that Republicans are doing right now with their current presidential frontrunner. It's a way to put Republicans on a variety of hot seats, because we have a Republican primary debate tomorrow. If that moderator's worth a shit, they're going to ask Republicans what they think Bob Menendez should do in the wake of these corruption scandals. And if any of them say, he should step down, you got a natural fucking follow-up question. And if any of them say, we should wait to see what happens, then you're kind of like, you're not for removing corrupt officials from the government. So you can hit him there. If Menendez doesn't step down himself, like if he doesn't leave the Senate on his own, this could be a very interesting opportunity, and I would be curious to see if Democrats would take it, because I think that the smartest thing you could do is vote to expel him from the Senate, because you immediately would put so much pressure on Republicans to either back your play and help you get this dude out of the Senate or not. And if they don't, then the question then becomes, well, why not? Why don't you think you should do that? And by the way, why were you okay removing Ilhan Omar and Adam Schiff from their committees in the House, but you're not going to support us calling our own? Like, we're not even asking you to get rid of Republican. We're trying to get one of our own people out of here because he's fucked up, and you're not going to help.
I mean,
don't you care?
Well, and here's the thing. So there's reality, and then there's political reality.
Right.
Reality is everything you just said. The political reality is you even have people like Tom Cotton going, well, I mean, I think we should wait and see, right? Because they realize, like, oh, fuck, if we say this guy is corrupt and, like, there's definitive corrupt, evidence, then we are going to turn a massive mirror onto our own party. And that is just not what we want. But at the same time, there's a Democrat we could get. Like, they're driving themselves crazy. And also, there's the other part of reality. Phil Murray, the governor of New Jersey, is a Democrat. And it's nice and easy for him to just go, oh, you want to get rid of Bob Menendez? That's fine. We'll just put in a reasonable Democrat who's not fucking corrupt. So again, Republicans are stuck between a rock and a hard place, which is you either scream about it, make big hay about it right before the election, and Democrats go, we agree with you. We should get this guy the fuck out of here. And they're like, fuck. Yeah. And then it shows they can run a perfect ad that says, Bob Menendez, a Democratic senator, we got the fuck out of there. By the way, you can use this language. It's fine. It's not copyrighted. We got that guy the fuck out of here. And because we believe in policing corruption no matter what party it's in. And then just like a hard pivot, you get the Republicans and then just show them like, Donald Trump's our guy. He's awesome. He's awesome. Like, that's all you have to do. And then it just shows like, yeah, Democrats might be corrupt, but at least they call their own guys out. And that's like, whether you are a Democrat, liberal, conservative, or Republican, or wherever you live in the political spectrum, a libertarian for some god fucking reason, I guess you're 12, you don't really understand how politics works. No matter where you are in that spectrum, you gotta want whatever team you're on, because you're on some team, right? You agree with some swath of people. If there is a person in that group that is corrupt, you want that team to be able to go, absolutely not, that person needs to go. So it doesn't matter. Like, that's a universally understood phenomenon. So if Democrats kick Bob Menendez out, which they should expel him from the Senate if they can get that pulled off. And the only reason they won't is because Republicans will literally actively try to keep Bob Menendez on, which I don't know how Democrats don't take a sledgehammer politically and beat them over the head with it.
I don't think that's the only reason, because I think that so far, at least, Chuck Schumer has been hesitant to speak up. Like he is basically like he won't say whether or not he thinks Menendez should go. All he said is that he has the right to a fair trial. Cory Booker came out and said that he should step down. Menendez should. But that's the thing, is like if Menendez remains obstinate, and funnily enough, like he's no fan of Trump, but he's definitely running the Trump playbook right now. Like, this is a witch hunt. Like they're out to get me because I'm Latino.
Because I'm Latino. Like, dude,
right? They're racist and all this shit. Yeah. So he's running. So he's like, but I'm not going anywhere, kind of shit. If he can't be convinced on his own to leave, Chuck Schumer is going to have to be like, all right, if you're not going to leave, like, we're going to kick you out, and I will make sure that this happens, because we're about to run up against the most corrupt motherfucker in Republican politics, and we need to show that we're tough on that. The Democratic Party is tough on corruption.
Yeah, so. Like it's. But again, that is one of the rare cases where reality meets political reality. Like, it just does. And
here's the thing: if I were Chuck Schumer, I'd fucking do it anyway. This opportunity is too fucking good just to pass up and wait for Bob Menendez to get to realize to realize what side of the bed the sun's coming up on. Like, come the fuck on.
Right. Like at a certain point, I need Chuck Schumer to just go to Bob Menendez and be like, remember when I said I wasn't going to fire you, or I wasn't going to have you expelled? I lied. Like, that's what I need. Get him out of there.
Yeah, Chuck, you did say that.
Just drop poor Bob Menendez down a giant hillside. But no, he needs to go. And you're right. This is a rare opportunity for Democrats to absolutely get a win out of what seems to be, on its face, a loss. By the way, I'd like to introduce a new member to our team. I am dubbing this guy as the 100% representation of evil and corruption in politics. One of my personal favorite characters of all time, but he is now joining me in the studio, a giant Skeletor. He is, anytime we talk about political corruption, Skeletor will be there. All right. So for people listening on video, I bought a giant pop vinyl of Skeletor. I walked in the store, I was like, oh, I need that. I need him. So from now on, he will be, probably next week, he will be mounted behind me and I will point to him. But for now, my boy's here. So yeah, look, Bob Menendez, you got to get the fuck out of here, man. Like,
and again, for you Johnny come lately right wingers who are telling us that we're only hitting Bob Menendez because it's convenient, because it just popped up in the news and where were we forever? Go back and listen to the archive. Like, we several times a year when Bob Menendez just happens to come up, or when the topic of political corruption comes up, we go out of our way to mention how Bob Menendez sucks and he should have been gone. 7 years
all the time. Like, I got no love for Bob Menendez. I barely have love for New Jersey. Let's get out of here. Like, come on. I'm just teasing.
If it wasn't for Cory Booker being there, like, we just fucking tell that trash state to get absorbed into New York like they should. Get the fuck out of here.
Virgin Tunnel people, knock it off. No, I do. Before we get off of the Bob Menendez,
can't even pump your own fucking gas, you losers.
Well, someone has to do it for me. Knock it off. But before we get off the Bob Menendez thing, I do want to talk about one detail of this corruption case that I just found hilarious. One of the big parts of the corruption case is this bit with the FDA, right? Which I don't know if you've heard this, but it is an awesome story. This asshole basically put his thumb on the scale to prop up a company to do all of the inspections of halal meat leaving the United States and headed to Egypt, right? Because he did a lot of like sort of corrupt shit with Egypt, right? Which is also like doubly bad, right? You're doing corrupt shit with a foreign nation, let alone just your good old fashioned domestic corruption, right? So he basically was like, look, he's friends with the guy who runs this company, so he is like, I'm going to get rid of the 5 companies that normally handle these inspections of this halal meat that goes to Egypt, so that this one company can take it over, right? Win this contract. Not only were the 5 companies that were handling the halal meat previously actually Muslim, so they give a fuck about whether or not it's truly halal and like following it. He gives it to a guy whose company, 1, never done meat inspection before. Okay, weird. 2, run by a Christian, and I'm sorry, look, I'm not religious at all, but I think the person handling the halal meat should probably practice eating halal food exclusively. Like that should be a part of it so they can make sure, right? Like I wouldn't want a Muslim company handling, I don't know, kosher food. It feels like you'd want to hire the people who are directly involved in that sort of thing. So they pick a Christian guy who's never done it before to handle all of the meat that's exported from the U.S. to Egypt that's halal, doing all the inspections for that. So a complete corrupt on its face of just giving it to one guy, like a no-bid contract type of thing, but also giving it to someone who clearly is not qualified to protect those people, by the way. Because, look, you could say, oh, well, who gives a fuck about Egypt? But if we're saying that this stuff is halal and it's fucking A1 good, you should be able to trust that. And the political corruption that's involved in this leads me to believe that it likely wouldn't be done correctly because this guy has no experience in doing that. So I just found that to be hilarious. And then also them raiding Bob Menendez's house and literally finding gold bars. Literally gold bars.
If you haven't at least perused like a summary of the indictment, you really should, because it's really damning. Like apparently like all this bribe money he received in envelopes and he just kept it in the envelopes, like in his fucking safe. He got his wife involved. Like he wrote his wife like personal checks in a huge amount of money, and then she wrote identical checks to this, like, you know, a foreign intermediary with like personal loan and like the fucking memo line of the check. I'm just like, man, I was like, you would think for a guy that is that's as hella into crimes as Bob Menendez appears to be into crimes, that he would be a better criminal. But he's just like a lazy criminal. He's just like, yeah, like they haven't caught me yet. Like, what are they going to start now? Yeah, actually, they will eventually start now. Like, if you're so dumb.
Yeah, no, they're coming today. Like the idea of someone saying, "No, man, I'm not guilty of any crimes. No, I keep gold bars in my house for no reason." Like,
that's just like my parents in Cuba did.
Yeah, like my ancestors in Venezuela. Really weird. So it's really weird, and it's really weird for people to be defending this. Like, if you're a Democrat and you're defending this, that's crazy. If you're a Republican defending this, we see you. Okay, like we know what this is about. Knock it off. You're just trying to protect your other boy. But it is really funny. But it should not go unnoticed that this guy, very much a Democrat, again, not a backbencher, very much a frontline guy, is deeply, deeply corrupt. And that corruption is on Front Street, and it should continue to be on Front Street, and people should call it out. And he needs to go. That's it. Like, look, we're not in the business of protecting anybody based on party. Fuck that noise. Just not.
And by the way, like, even if Phil Murphy was a Republican, he was likely to appoint a Republican to fill the seat until next year when they have their election for that seat, we'd still be saying the same thing. Like, we actually fucking believe our principles, and not just, you know, when it's convenient for us to.
Right. And look, and that would be incredibly inconvenient for us. To be like, it would be. Fuck, that sucks. But if someone is corrupt, like, look, there is short-term and there are long-term results of these kinds of things, right? The short-term is, let's say Phil Murphy was a Republican. You get a Republican in there, or people go, see, Democrats are corrupt or whatever. That's the short-term. The long-term is you protect Bob Menendez, and then people go, see, the system is corrupt. They're all corrupt. Mm-hmm. Who gives a shit?
They're all the same. Voting. Both sides are the same.
Both sides are the same. You get the fucking bad faith bullshit, right? But if you call it out and someone goes, see, they're both the same, you can go, actually, they're not. And here's a prime example of why they're not. And that is the goal, right? Is to not only get trust back in government, get trust back into a party who is trying to do the right thing. They don't always succeed, obviously, but they're trying to do the right thing. And the other goal is to get political wins. And knocking Bob Menendez off the fucking chessboard is a political win. And it, frankly,
yes,
like
any which way you slice it, quite frankly.
Yeah, you can't lose. So just like stop being nice and just like, all right, like we're done asking. Like we're done asking, dude. Yeah. Let's go to a vote. Like the only thing Chuck Schumer should be doing, if he isn't already, is quietly whipping votes to make sure he's got enough, and then announce like, hey Bob, I'm gonna need you to step down by Friday. I'm not stepping down. Bet there'll be a vote on Thursday. Like that's it.
Here's my question. You know what I'm really missing in this whole endeavor, and I'm not saying this to shit on him, but like I just miss it. I haven't seen it yet, and I'd really like to because I'd imagine it's gonna be kind of awesome. Where's the Bernie Sanders response to this? Like, I feel like this is like fucking like this is what Bernie Sanders wakes up in the morning to fucking do is to fucking be sanctimonious about this shit. Like, come on, where you at?
Yeah, he must be busy. Like he's too busy out there, literally fist fighting millionaires and billionaires. This week. Like, no,
that's right. He's got auto workers that he has to be in solidarity with. He doesn't have time to comment on Bob Menendez.
Like, this is a big deal. But I'm sure Bernie will make an appearance. And like you said, this is Bernie's bread and butter, man. Like, I don't give a goddamn about what party he's in. Just call it out. And look, and that's the part about Bernie I love. Like, you should be able to call this shit out. And I have no doubt if he was probably not wearing a UAW hat right now and screaming at the picket lines, I'm sure he'd be right there calling out Bob Menendez, and he should be. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. All right, so let's talk about fresh off the press, man. This is a very, very recent story, like quite literally a couple hours ago. Judge rules Donald Trump defrauded banks, insurers while building real estate empire. This is out in New York. Judge Arthur Engoron ruling in a civil lawsuit brought by the New York Attorney General Letitia James found that Trump and his company deceived banks, insurers, and others by massively overvaluing his assets and exaggerating his net worth on paperwork used in making deals and securing loans. The judge ordered that some of Trump's business licenses be rescinded as punishment, making it difficult or impossible for them to do business in New York, and said he would continue to have an independent monitor oversee the Trump Organization operations. If not successfully appealed, the order would strip Trump of his authority to make strategic and financial decisions over some of the key properties in the state of New York. Not a bad deal if you can get it. I love it.
Not at all.
Because he basically saying like he'd be basically like dissolving the Trump Organization. Like that's basically what they're talking about here.
I can read Trump's response if you'd be so kind, or if I'd be so kind. My civil rights have been violated, and some appellate court, whether federal or state, must reverse this horrible, un-American decision. The Trump Organization has done a magnificent job for the state of New York and done business perfectly. And it's a very sad day for the New York State system of justice.
I wish I could get Skeletor to mouth the words of Donald Trump because they're utterly ridiculous. This makes sense, right? Like Letitia James, I wish this was not a civil case. I wish it was a criminal case.
Oh, naturally. Yeah.
Like, because this is a slam dunk case. Like, there's not even an argument, by the way. Like, there's not an argument, a sound argument, besides they're just going after him, which is obviously not a sound argument. But when you look at the details of this case, like, he did inflate his net worth. He did decrease the value of his properties when it was time to be looked at for paying taxes. Like, he did. This is not an argument. Like, literally, the numbers show you that, like, okay, now this thing is worth 221% higher than it was 5 years ago. Nothing's changed. And then, like, a year later, it drops all the way down when it's time to do his taxes. Like, it is a clear case of corruption. Look, there is part of me that says, I'd love to see this guy go to jail for all the things that he's done. Will that happen? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I hope so. But there's another part of me that just hopes that, like, you can almost leave him out of jail, but take everything from him.
Just make him destitute.
Just make him destitute. Take the Trump organization, sell it off for parts, right? Like, sell it to Hilton or whatever. Like, like whoever he like really hates, like just sell it to his competitors for rock bottom prices, and just remove every ounce of everything he corruptly built and watch him fucking flounder, right? And just say like, and you can't start a business. Mm-hmm. Oh well, like. Tough luck, dude, and just be like, go about your day. It's fine, right? Like,
dude, he would fly to fucking he would go emigrate to Moscow. Like, actually, people are saying all the time that the ruble even more powerful than the dollar. People are saying.
A lot of people are saying, who? No one. Yeah, not even Vladimir Putin is saying that, dude. I guarantee you his billions of dollars aren't in fucking rubles. Like, I guarantee you it's not. Or his billions in wealth. So this is a good thing. I don't know how well this will stand up in like an appellate court. Like, it's probably going to get knocked down to some degree. But yeah,
I don't know because again, like the decisions being made, like I don't think they can appeal. Can they appeal the sentencing, or can they just appeal the decision? Because like if the decision, okay, because if the decision is made in facts presented, I don't know what an appellate court's going to do. Like, and again, like this can get up to a New York State Supreme Court. I don't think this can go to SCOTUS because it is a civil matter.
Yeah, it's a state civil matter.
So, yeah.
I don't know. And well, the question is, what really happens, right? Does it mean that he's no longer capable of doing business in the state of New York? Like, that could happen. Like, that could legitimately happen. That would be funny because while he has run off to Florida to live out the rest of his life in his little shit mansion down there, as much as he pretends to hate New York, he loves New York. Like, it's intrinsically a part of who he is. But for him to then, like, can he own Trump Tower in New York? Like, do they strip him of that? You know what I mean? Like, what happens to his properties in New York? Like, it depends on, are those things up for, up for grabs? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Probably not. But he certainly wouldn't be able to do business. The Trump organization wouldn't be able to do business in New York. That is very possible. And that fucks him like from a Trump connected to New York thing. But who it really fucks is his kids who run his business in New York. They're not in Florida. So what are you're gonna start a new company that then you move all the assets and then it's all out of Florida? I guess. But like, you have assets in New York, right? Like, Trump Tower is a part of a business in New York. Like, so how does that work? I'd be curious to get sort of a readout from like some, obviously much smarter legal minds than myself. Like, what does that mean if they remove the idea of a Trump organization existing?
I'll tell you what, I think we're about to find out. So, so more to come.
So yeah, look, the idea that him and his brood can't run a charity anymore was already the fucking first nail in the coffin. The fact that they wouldn't be able to run a business in New York would be even more incredible. But just the dissolving of the Trump organization in and of itself would be a phenomenal fucking headline. Like, if nothing else, that is a phenomenal headline. So we'll see. But yeah, Judge came out today on that. So best of luck with all that. Next up, like, from unbelievable corruption to this has never been done before. And I kind of love it. President Joe Biden joins the picket line to tell the United Auto Workers strikers, quote, "You deserve a significant raise." He is standing not with the automakers, but with the little guy. This, quite literally, they went back and looked. They were like, there's never been a president who has stood on this at the picket lines with strikers in the history of the U.S. There's never been a president to do that. And here you got, quote unquote, sleepy Joe Biden are apparently awake enough to do something that none of these motherfuckers could ever think to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant.
And to put a cherry on top, Republicans are out there making ads for Joe Biden again. Like Nikki Haley went on TV and was like talking about like how terrible it is for these workers to be extorting these businesses and they're going to hurt the economy and this, that, or the other thing. I'm just like, that's a bold strategy. like way to hand the Democrats, way to hand Biden another unedited political ad that he could just fucking wham. I'm Joe Biden. I approve this message.
Yeah, like Joe Biden is standing with the workers. Yeah, no, look. There's a picture. That's me. That's literally me. Like it's also
notable. Yeah, also notable that Biden is doing this today because tomorrow Trump is giving a speech in front of the same striking auto workers to counter program the Republican debate that he's not going to be a part of. That's going on tomorrow night. Yeah,
and look, the UAW doesn't fuck with Trump, dude. Like they don't, and I don't know why he thinks that look. I'm sure there are conservatives in that crowd, of course, right? Like
here's my question: what the fuck is he going to say? Like is he going to come out as the head of the Republican Party and be like, you guys should get a tremendous raise. You guys should get like even more benefits than you've gotten. Like you're the soul of this country. Like this, like, is he really going to come out as the leader of the Republican Party and side with workers, like full throatedly? And if he doesn't, how's that going to play? like with this fucking speech that in front of the UAW. So it seems like he's in a bit of an unenviable position here.
Yeah, he's like the Bob Menendez of this story, right? Like he's fucked because, like, look, it's really weird because your entire party is like, yeah, but we like stock buybacks. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're killing us, man. You're killing us. And look, if you were a Republican, like, it's wild. By the way, it is wild to watch. I'm very very much connected to two other strikes that are coming on that are actually hopefully coming to a complete end here very soon. One of them quite literally in a few hours. Just like because I focus on movies a lot, right? And so I'm like I pay attention a lot to the writer's strike. I pay attention to the actor's strike. There's a video game strike about to happen too, apparently, which is fucking crazy. And so the UAW is like the cherry on top, right? You get even more of this stuff. What you realize is Republicans, like if you read their comments online, they're all like, writers, Hollywood writers are being paid so much money. I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, that's a crazy thing to say. But like, that is a crazy thing to say. Like, you really don't fucking get what's going on.
Also very, very interesting stance to take for the people who, quote unquote, hate all of the elites and globalists that are running Hollywood.
3 parentheses on each side.
Yeah, big quotes around that. So,
yeah. But like, they still, even though they hate like all these like, oh, corrupt Hollywood and they're trying to force our kids to believe this stuff, they will still back the David Zaslavs and the Bob Igers and everyone else against the little guy because at their core, they are such boot-licking dickbags, right? Like, they can't help themselves. They're well, I mean, we have to defend the corporate interests, right? It's like, but those are the people you yell about 99% of the time. But when it comes to like this one moment where it's very easy, it should be very easy to go, hey man, the little guy's getting exploited. They're like, I get it, but the core of me is dirt. So I have to go with the fucking giant corporate interest. And so for Trump to come out and to be so, to try, right? Because this is fake. To try to be in support of the auto workers isn't going to make sense because your party is going to turn around the very next day or like later that day and go, ugh, we're not for the little guy. Get the fuck out of here. Dude, our entire argument is fuck the little guy. Have you been paying attention? And by the way, that's how I know nothing Trump says to the UAW is going to be genuine. And even if it is, it doesn't matter because the party that you control doesn't give a fuck about the little guy. Even though they are on this, literally some of them are the little guy, they still can't bring themselves to give a shit.
Well, that's what's funny about Trump's like Biden's message down there on the picket line today is, we need to fight for the workers, blah blah blah. Trump is going to be giving a speech not on a picket line, just in a fucking auditorium or whatever. And his message, like, I'd be surprised if he spent 5 minutes talking about the labor disagreement, because what is his message actually going to be about? It's going to be about China. It's going to be about Hunter Biden. It's going to be, it's going to be about, how the economy
electric
sucks.
Cars are ruining the auto industry, except they're really not.
And windmills, and the fact, and Jeb Bush is out to get him. Spoilers for later in the show, and so it's man. like he's going to give a Trump stump speech,
right?
When he should be focusing on the plight and the fight that these union workers are going through. But again, for him, it's just a campaign stop.
It's a campaign stop. But look, allow me to present another angle to this. He doesn't even know what's happening. Like, he doesn't know what's happening.
Not. Yeah,
like,
probably
he doesn't know
not.
what's happening. And he's just like, I don't know. Like, people are real mad. And the auto workers, they seem like regular guys. I'm going to say I side with them because that's what I keep hearing is the right thing to do. But he doesn't really get it. He doesn't get it.
Well, he's been parroting the same shit that all Republicans have been parroting about this, is that, the actual problem is that all these electric cars are being built in China. And that's what really is that's the real reason the workers are striking. I'm like, that's not the reason the workers are striking, guys. Like, that's far from.
Right. And look, here's the thing I learned today, right? Because for people who don't know, why are the workers striking, right? Like, we're saying Trump doesn't understand it. Let's give a little bit of context as to what is actually happening. And by the way, nothing to do with electric cars. What it has to do, because by the way, all of these companies are making electric cars and are like, we're going to be making like all electric cars in like 5 years, right? So it's not electric cars. That's not the problem. The problem is when they got bailed out, right? We as a country were like, oh my God, the auto industry is suffering because of COVID and everything else. Here's a bunch of money. Please pay your workers, build your business back up since you lost all this money. No one's driving for fucking 2 years, right? They took that money and instead of paying their workers and even paying the executives a little less, perhaps, instead of doing that, what they did was they said, cool, fuck the workers. And they said, you've increased your amount of work and output considerably over the last number of years. Mm-hmm. But you've gotten a 5% increase, I think, in the last 10 years. They've got like a 5% increase. But the price of cars have gone up by 35%, right? Which is insane. So what they did was they took the money that they got from the government, and what did they do with it? They did stock buybacks. So they went and they bought back their own stock to help inflate the price. Like, look at how many people are buying GM stock. It must be doing well, and inflate the price to overvalue GM. Hence, they get more and more other people to buy more stock. They make more money, right? So they took our money that was supposed to go to building the company. They didn't do that. They took that money, did stock buybacks, and then paid their executives a shit ton of money, right? Never paid their workers any increase. The workers are like, hey, man, we've gotten production going crazy high. We've got nothing for it. And you pretended that you couldn't help us and give us more money because in the middle of the pandemic, we in corporate speak, we're all suffering as a family. So you guys, you eat your fucking cat food, and we're also, having starvation wages as executives, and then we'll build back up as a family. And the workers are like, absolutely not. This is bullshit. You're fucking us over, and they're 100% correct. So, in order for Trump and the Republican Party to even, and I won't even say the Republican Party because that's not fair to them. They're not trying to make this argument at all, right? But Trump is trying to make this argument that he stands with the UAW workers. In order for us to believe that he's actually genuine about that, you would have to believe that he thinks that not only should they get pay raises, that the UAW should get 4-day work weeks, because that's a thing they're pushing for, by the way, which is awesome, right? You would have to believe that he thinks that stock buybacks are a thing that's not correct. Today I learned, by the way, stock buybacks illegal until, drum roll, 1982, when President
Who's president when that happened?
Ronald Reagan said, "Hey,
who's in charge?
Buyback. We're fine." By the way, you want to find out where all the massive debt and corruption in this country went absolutely fucking haywire? You can look to the Gipper, because he's one of the worst politicians we've literally ever had in American history. Certainly the worst in modern history. Which is really a shame, because it's like the start of my life started with Ronald Reagan. I never got to see what America was like before it became shit. It's unfortunate. So yeah, it's bullshit that any Republican would pretend to be in line with the UAW. It is completely the opposite of what they believe. They believe in stock buybacks. They believe in all that shit. They believe in enriching corporations and corporate owners above workers. Yeah. None of them agree with
no taxation on capital gains and all this other bullshit.
Yeah. Yep. Stock buybacks, no taxation on that shit. None. You're literally buying your own shit, so it's not taxed. So we're getting screwed 2 times. Right?
Yep. And again, just to reiterate, we said this last week, but we'll say it again. This is after a massive bailout for the same industry happened, 14 years ago or 16 years ago during the Great Recession.
Yeah.
That Republicans caused, by the way. So,
yeah. So again, when you tell me that you are for helping out the auto workers, to quote that dude from the newsroom, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, Yosemite? Like, it doesn't mean anything. It just doesn't mean anything. Okay, so let's talk about your girl, or Andy's girl.
I must say, this is Andy's bae.
Yeah. Yours was last week. Yes.
She's keeping her head down. And you can take that any way you want it. So
I was gonna say,
because Lord knows she probably does.
Yeah,
so.
On my knees is one of the most powerful. Good Lord.
That's right.
Saying the quiet part loud there, sweetheart. Kristen Sinema pitches donors on a path to victory for re-election in Arizona. And it's by courting Republicans. Really?
Of course. And by the way, in greater numbers than Democrats.
Okay, before we get into the story, I'm going to say something. Look, y'all just going to have to be mad. The Green Party is fucking useless, okay? It's fucking useless. She's a former Green Party person. They're fucking useless when it comes to actual politics. They are. Who
the fuck could possibly have lived through 2016 and take offense to that statement?
No, I still see people, well, I don't know, maybe maybe Cornel West will pull it out. Really? Maybe you think so? Okay. Hey, would you like to make a bet? I'll bet you $1 million he doesn't. And I don't even need to have $1 million to know that that's not going to happen. That's how sure I am. So, Kristen Sinema is a former Green Party person. And I truly mean that. I think the Green Party is completely useless in this country. I do. And it's not because I don't agree with their views on some things. I actually do agree with them. I just think all they do is go, we're going to run for president. And it's like, there's no infrastructure. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. And when you have people like Kristen Sinema who come from that, they also have unrealistic political expectations and unrealistic views of how politics actually works. And she is a prime example of a fucking, not even a political novice, just a traitor, to the political process in and of itself.
I was gonna say, I think you give her too much credit, or not enough credit. I think she's just a craven piece of shit.
Yeah,
who's just willing to take power however she can get it.
Right. Well, she certainly is. I mean, so the Arizona Democrat turned independent hasn't publicly announced whether she's running for re-election. Okay, why don't you just announce it so we can all just realize you're going to get beaten, right? But whatever. But privately, her political team has been mapping out a campaign strategy, pitching donors and potential supporters on how she can win the marquee Senate race. In a 2-page prospectus obtained by NBC News, Sinema charts out a path to victory as an independent candidate in Arizona with a glimpse of her possible campaign message and new details under the banner of Kristen's Path to Victory. Oh, very creative. The document says Sinema can win by attracting 10 to 20% Democrats. Remember, she was a Democrat before she became an independent. 60 to 70% of independents. I don't think so.
Well, I have thoughts on that, but I'll let you finish before I weigh in there. So,
and 25 to 35% of Republicans. All right, Brad, tell me why she's going to be reelected.
So, as someone who used to be party unaffiliated on their voter registration, and that's and speaking for myself, there is no such thing as an independent voter. You are just either a right leaning or left leaning conservative or liberal, respectively, that doesn't have a party affiliation. So, like, if Kirsten Sinema is talking about quote unquote winning independence, that's not a thing. Those independents will break one way or the other, and it's not going to be with Kirsten Sinema. Like, it's not like there's a independent political party that you're running alongside. Yeah. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, I used to put that I was an independent, and the reason I would often change to Democrat is just so I could vote in the primary, right? Because it's a closed primary in the state of Maryland, and then I realized I'm never going to vote for a Republican. So
yeah, I'm just a Democrat. So let's stop trying to
on paper for their paper. I'm just a Democrat. Like whether I see myself as a wildly independent person, whatever, irrelevant to this document. I just want to be able to vote in Democratic primaries because those are the only people on the ballot who I give a shit make it past it. I don't give a fuck which Republican makes it past in Maryland. They're going to get their asses kicked anyway. So who cares? But to this idea of winning 60 to 70% of independents, you're right. It means nothing. That's a very silly thing to say.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what her actual strategy is. Ruben Gallego is running against her as a Democrat, and if she runs in a Democratic primary, which it seems like she's angling not to do, he will kick the shit out of her in that race. And a lot of polling is already showing that Ruben Gallego would still win if she entered the race as a third party candidate, which is surprising to me. I would think that she would play a bit of a spoiler for Ruben Gallego, but again, I guess moderate Republicans like her too because she left the Democratic Party. So I guess that you're not she'd be taking an equal number of votes, or at least a proportionately equal number of votes away from a prospective Republican candidate. Also, the Republican candidate that's probably going to be running for the seat is sure to be a nutbag of some kind because it's probably either going to be Blake Masters again or Kari Lake.
It's going to be Kari.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's look.
Apparently, she got mad at Blake Masters because she thought that Blake Masters was going to gracefully step out of the way to let the Lake train come through, and he was talking about he's going to be running and shit like that, and she blew up on him a little bit. Reportedly, this happened a couple weeks ago. So.
But you lost though. I think her career is dead. It's dead, right? I don't think there's much left for her to do. I really don't. Not at this level. I mean, I don't know, girl, run for president. I don't know. Shit is a wrap for you. You tried to do the Trump shit. It didn't work. Nobody was buying it. And now you look silly. Trump is not going to pick you as the VP, even though you're hanging out at Mar-a-Lago all the time. Some sort of weird sycophant. Yeah, I think your career is done. By the way, won't be the last time I say that about somebody politically this evening. And it's a doozy too. I'm actually really looking forward to that story. But yeah, I think this is ridiculous. I don't think she's going to win re-election, whether she runs in a Democratic primary or not. I think her career is done. I think it's toast. Unless you do a full heel turn and become a Republican, and then maybe you have a chance of having some state level power, right? You just run for state senate or some shit like that. I don't see Sinema doing anything else after this. I think Gallego takes it, walks away with it, and then we're done ever listening to that buffoon talk again. Thankfully.
And what's funny is all she had to do would just be a fucking normal ass person. Like, and instead she wanted to be like Jane Manchin. And she's like, that this is the way to win.
Yeah. Well, now your ass is gonna get like, you're not in West Virginia. Like, we can't get rid of that guy because there ain't shit else. That is not the case for you. Like, we can get rid of this. Like,
yeah, you live in a state that's trending more liberal all the time, it seems. Yeah, which is hilarious because Arizona used to be like the Republican fucking, breeding ground. Like some incredibly famous Republicans came out of Arizona.
Not anymore.
Nope.
Like, no, that shit is a wrap. That idea died with John McCain, if I'm being honest. Like, it quite literally did. When he gave that thumbs down to Republicans for healthcare, like he ended the Republican Party in Arizona. It was like, oh, like the stake through the heart. And it was like, John, no. And he was like, fuck you guys, I'm out. And you know what? Thanks, John. It was one of the few things you did right. That guy was not as much of a maverick as people said he was at all. He just
not even, and the things he was a maverick about were not always the best things. Go read about Bear Stearns and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, he was a maverick. Like when people used to not crash planes, and he was a maverick, so he crashed them. And I'm not talking about when he was a POW. I'm talking about before that.
Yeah.
And he was like a maverick when his wife stood by him while he was a POW. And then when he got back home, he mavericked his way into marrying that other woman. Was like, I'm fucking out. I'm going to maverick my way out of this fucking marriage. Because he was kind of an asshole. He was. So, safe home there, John. Anyway, next up, Supreme Court rejects Alabama's bid to use congressional maps with just one majority black district. Again, the Supreme Court looks down at Alabama and says, get the fuck out of here. Please stop sending us your dumb reports.
What the fuck did Alabama think was going to happen here? Because basically what Alabama did is the Supreme Court said, hey, this map is, we're saying, the worst Supreme Court ever is saying this map is hella racist. You need to make it less racist. And Alabama pretty much pulled the, I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to change it a little bit, but not do what you told me to do. And it's going to be cool, right? And the Supreme Court was like, no, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, come on, bro.
Get the fuck out of here.
This is nonsense. Look, I got to tell you, I love it. I'm a huge fan of when we just decide that the Supreme Court doesn't matter. We're just going to try to slam shit through and see what happens. And look, thankfully, the Supreme Court, without any dissenting voices, was like, no, please stop doing this. We told you once. Actually, we told you twice. Please stop it. Change the goddamn map. So what's up for Alabama? I honestly don't know. I think there's a decent chance they just go, no, we're not going to change it. It just runs through the election.
They fucking soldier ahead anyway and being like, yeah, what are you going to do? Like, we got an election next year. And
that will prove, because I truly believe they're just not going to fix this. I honestly, I think they're just going to be like, it was too late for us to change it. And the question is going to become, what happens when you openly defy the court? And not just openly defy the court, openly defy the court on something that they have ruled on multiple times, and you literally, there is no gray area, and it also has to do with elections. What do you do then?
Yeah.
Do you rescind this election? Like when they fuck over black people and pick a Republican for those districts, what happens? Like, do those elections not count? Or do they just go, well, I guess it counts and there's nothing we can do about it? Like, come on, man.
I mean, we went on a pretty epic diatribe about this a couple weeks ago when the map was first kind of like, when Alabama first brought up the take two, and we're like, it's still the same. So I would go back and encourage listening to that, because like really like just kind of outright rejecting a Supreme Court ruling is like opening the stupidest Pandora's box for Republicans that I could possibly think. So I encourage you to go back and listen to that. But yeah, I too am curious to see if they're finally chastened and they finally draw the map that the Supreme Court is like, do this.
Yeah.
Or if they're going to be stubborn and be like, we didn't hear you say that we couldn't do it.
Sorry, bro. Well, guess we got to just move forward. Like there's got to be some teeth behind this, and right now I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing any of that. Like, so us going, don't you do it, and they go, I'm gonna do it. Like that. We've hit a situation that's kind of a big deal. And again, this deals with elections. So if they don't fix this and the election happens and people get chosen based on this corrupt map, what happens? And someone needs to someone needs to ask the court, what happens if they don't listen?
If they don't do it, right?
And that should be there should be a legitimate conversation. There also should be a legitimate ask of the governor of Alabama. What happens when if this goes down? Well, we'll see. No, not we will see. What happens if you do this? You need to be
here's
on
the problem,
video
though.
saying it.
Here's the problem, though. The governor has already kind of come out and been like, I like the racist map. I think we should be able to do what we want. So
I know. So does the FEC get involved?
Mm-hmm.
Like what happens? Right? Like does the DOJ get involved? Who gets involved to be the teeth of this? Who is the DOJ going to be the teeth for the Supreme Court?
What if be interesting if the House and again I don't know who would have sway.
Does the House not seat them? Does the House not seat?
That's what I'm saying. Like and I don't think Kevin McCarthy would do it, but like I'm pretty sure Hakeem Jeffries would be like,
absolutely,
this is fucked up. Like we're not seating any of you guys. Sorry, till you guys can figure this shit out. So Alabama just won't have a House representative until you guys can get your house in order. So
by the way, Hakeem Jeffries, we know you're listening. I know you're a big fan. You should come out and say that right now. You should come out and say it right now and say, if this happens and you do not change the map, we will not seat them. Say it definitively. There is no surprise here. So that when it happens, and by the way, I'm going to go on record and tell you that's what's going to happen. Alabama's going to drag their feet and then they're going to go, what could we do? And we're going to just run the race, right? When that happens, or likely when it happens, one, you'll get a dude I told you, of course. But standard operating procedure. But when that happens, they're going to be like, oh, you're not going to seat our corrupt House members that are built off this map that the Supreme Court justice told us twice is racist and bullshit? I can't believe it. That's why you say it now. And go, if you do this, we will not seat them. By the way, if you do that and say we will not seat them, that might actually spur them to go, all right, we might not need to get this into a political fight. Let's just do the fucking map. But if I was Hakeem Jeffries, I would come out and be like, we will fight this tooth and nail. You just will not have any seats. Tough shit. From those three districts, we will not seat them. You figure it out, motherfucker.
Or the whole state. How about the whole state?
That's fine. Sorry,
we can't be sure any of these are legitimate because the map is illegitimate. So we're just not going to seat any Alabama House representatives. And once you get it fixed and have a new election and can actually draw a map that's fair, then we'll consider it. So
right. And the best part about this is you have a hyper conservative Supreme Court that's saying this. There is no one to run to. But we're going to take the Supreme Court. You already did twice. They told you to get the fuck out of here. Make the goddamn map correctly. So I think that's the move. I think Hakeem Jeffries and the other Democrats in leadership should come out and be like, this is unacceptable. The Supreme Court told you twice. If you do not do it, they don't get seated. Don't try to drag your feet on this shit. Drag your feet in it. You just don't have any. And look, and I'd point to the House members who are there right now, who will be there, who are the ones likely to be incumbents. I'd be like, John and Steve, their ass ain't coming either. Knock it the fuck off. Sorry. That's how you get ahead of these stories. Because if you don't get ahead of this story, they're going to be like, well, they're immediately go, the Democrats are corrupt. No, call out their corruption, their potential corruption right now, today. Don't wait. Right now. So yeah, it's a nonsense case. They already know what they need to do, but they don't have the power they don't have the willingness to do it. They know what they need to do. Like shit is not difficult to understand. This is fun. Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom are going to debate on Fox News with Sean Hannity moderating. There's a 90-minute debate on November 30th in Georgia. Here's the thing. Before I get into who's going to win this debate, Gavin Newsom, this proves one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Ron DeSantis is done. It's over.
Yeah,
he's not even debating people running for president right now. It's over.
This is the political equivalent of a Hail Mary, especially when you look at the timing of the debate. It's November 30th of this year, so just a couple months before the first primary in Iowa. I know what DeSantis is thinking here, right? Like DeSantis is like, it's a home game. Sean Hannity's gonna be the moderator. I guess he didn't watch the interview with Gavin Newsom and Sean Hannity, where Gavin Newsom handed Sean Hannity his fucking lunch and fucking emptied his pockets too at the same time. And I'm assuming what he's going to attempt to do is use Gavin Newsom as a stand-in for Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And he's going to try to frame the questions that Sean Hannity asks at a national level. So that he can basically say well, Biden and Newsom are the same person. So I'm going to hammer, I'm actually going to be yelling at Joe Biden, but it's going to be, me yelling at Gavin Newsom, who I'm just treating as Joe Biden. Here's the difference is that Gavin Newsom, because he's the governor of California right now, and he won't be running for president for 4 years yet still, right. Is going to make it all about how the fucking state's running.
Yeah.
And why California is fucking awesome and why Florida fucking sucks.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Gavin Newsom is real good at that. He's really good at it. And not only is he good at it, he has the perfect level of dickishness, intellect, and viciousness that you want in a politician you agree with. He's fucking got it, man. He can come off as I think the country's doing really well. And then he's like, fucking Florida sucks, and here are the fucking reasons. And he's super right, man. He's a dangerous politician to go up against in a debate.
And that's the thing. So this debate could potentially have two impacts. So number one, it could tank DeSantis' 2024 campaign. It could just be dead in the water.
It will.
It could also effectively remove Ron DeSantis as a serious contender for the 2028 Republican nomination as well, especially if Gavin Newsom is running on the Democratic side.
Remember that time I destroyed your ass 4 years ago? Bitch, I'm back. Oh, no. And then they're just going to run clips again. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. He dunked on him again. The fact that you're trying to do this Hail Mary with Gavin Newsom screams of desperation to me.
Yeah.
I saw somebody, I forget who it was, made the point that we have made many a time, which is the only way to win over Trump in this Republican primary is to go through Donald Trump. Just smash into him and knock him over. And there's only one person who is truly trying to do that, and that's Chris Christie. That's it. Nikki Haley is she's behind Chris Christie, using him as a battering ram a little bit. Right?
No, fuck that, because Chris Christie even pulled his Trump punches in the first debate. He spent more time attacking Vivek Ramaswamy than he did.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. By the way, Vivek is over. It's over. It's done. He had his run. Woo! I did the Eminem song. It's over. You can literally watch the bell curve of his political aspirations.
It's funny because he started trotting his wife out to run damage control because he was fucking himself up so badly, and she did not help his cause. She did not hold the line very 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 strongly. to help back up her man. Again, I like the Vivek thing. Like, we're not talking about it this week, but just like when he just like, yeah, my dad never filed for citizenship, and that's not a problem. I'm like, really?
You sure about
really,
that?
Vivek? Yeah, you sure about that?
Well, or I don't even have it on the docket, but it was like, we need to get one of H-1B visas, or H-1B visas, and they're like, okay. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all of them. Yeah, he used them like 29 times when he was running his his company.
We should rescind birthright citizenship. Hey, aren't you a birthright citizen? We're not talking about me.
I'm different. I'm vegan, baby. Like, come on now. Look, you said that you think that the DeSantis Newsom debate has a potential for two major changes, right? Which is killing DeSantis in 2024 and 2028. Look, I also think it has a third option, which is both killing DeSantis' chance now and in the future, but also skyrocketing Gavin Newsom.
I think we can have it all. I think we can have it all, baby. I think it's the world is our oyster.
Right. The one person that it could actually hurt. Look, I think this could actually hurt Joe Biden, and I could see people being like, we should have Gavin Newsom in 2024.
We want cool Uncle Gavin instead of Grandpa Joe.
Yeah, get out of here, Grandpa Joe. But look, Joe Biden is not a panacea, right? Joe Biden plays as the number one reason Biden got elected, besides being absolutely more qualified than Donald Trump to be president ever, is that he has a cooling effect on politics. He cooled the temperature down. For 4 years, Donald Trump ran everything red fucking hot. It was miserable. Everyone hated it. Everyone was politically exhausted, and they just wanted him to shut the fuck up. Grandpa Joe came in, quite literally told Donald Trump to shut up, and he cooled the political fucking insanity down a bit. And everybody didn't have to be you didn't have to be grilled in, just glued into politics all the time, unless that was an interest of yours, like weirdos like us. Another 4 years of that, of getting things done, just sort of methodically working through problems and getting them done, not necessarily nailing it 100%, but hitting pretty big projects and things like that and getting big legislation passed and really putting his mark on it, but keeping the temperature low is a good thing.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.